Hi everyone, this is Destini Moody, registered dietitian and board certified specialist in sports nutrition, and today we are going to be talking about the importance of hydration. Let's hop in. If you've ever heard of the phrase 8-ounce glasses of water a day, if you've taken high school health, you've definitely heard this before. But the truth is, no one really knows where that recommendation comes from. And it's not necessarily supported by science that truly is what you need to stay hydrated all day long. And athletes certainly need more fluid than that. So what's the deal? The first thing that you should know is staying hydrated doesn't mean carrying around a gallon of water all day. You can do that, but you could still be hydrating incorrectly. The number one thing that I hear from people when I tell them they should drink more water is, I don't want to be peeing all the time. Yeah, no one does. But if you're finding that you're peeing all the time, it's because you were drinking water too quickly. If you chug your water because you're so eager to get to that little marker on your cute little water bottle, then you are doing yourself a disservice. The problem is, when the body takes in that volume of fluid all at once, it makes the kidneys freak out. The kidneys are getting a message of, we're getting a lot of fluid right now. We don't know if we can handle all of this. We just need to purge it and get rid of it right away before it starts to dilute the blood. So when that happens, the fluid goes straight from the stomach to the kidneys to the bladder. Your body doesn't even get a chance to absorb it. And that's why you're peeing all the time. So what it is that you need to do is you need to take small sips of water throughout the day until you've reached your fluid goal. And I understand it's tough. It's a habit that you really need to build and commit to working on because we're busy. We don't have time to sip on water all day, or we just get busy and forget. However, this is the best way to keep yourself hydrated. The fact is, the body is made of 60% water. And that's important to know because water influences nearly every process of our body. It transports nutrients to where it needs to go. It lubricates our bones and joints. It lubricates our organs. It clears toxins. It helps us to optimize our brain function, and it helps us to regulate our body temperature. But it can't do all of these things optimally if it isn't getting enough water from outside sources. That's where you come in. That said, even though hydration is so important, a lot of times we can be very dehydrated and not feel a thing. A lot of people wait until their mouth is super dry before they're like, man, I need to drink some water. But most of the time, you're already dehydrated way before that happens. Dehydration is loosely defined as a loss of 2% of your body weight from fluid. So say that a football player who's 200 pounds trains, and then we weigh him and he's 196 pounds after practice. He's lost 2% of his body weight. Why is this significant? Whenever you've lost 2% of your body weight from fluid, your athletic performance is already decreased. Meaning if you're dehydrated even by 2%, you are not going to be performing up to your full potential. Guess what percentage of your body weight you have to lose before you feel thirsty? 3%. So if you are thirsty while you are working out, you are already not performing up to your full potential. This is why I get so mad at my athletes when they come off of the court and they're like, man, I'm so thirsty. I just look at them. It's like, what are you even doing out there? By the time you feel thirsty, it's already too late. And that tells you that you need to be a little more diligent throughout the day with your water intake. I've had athletes in football camp that have lost as much as 15 pounds in water from one practice, and they didn't feel a thing. No cramps, no nothing. This is how easy it can be for you to be dehydrated and not even know it. That's why just sipping throughout the day is the best way to cover your bases. This decrease in athletic performance, too, isn't a joke. When I'm talking about a decrease, I mean inefficient oxygen delivery to the muscles, more mental mistakes, more perceived rate of exertion. Meaning, if you're weightlifting, it feels a lot harder than it should be if you're dehydrated. And this means less reps, less sets, and you feel a lot more gassed afterwards. All avoidable if you just drink enough water. Now, for the most part, the recommendations around fluid intake are kind of loosey-goosey, and there's even some sports dietitians that will tell you, just drink when you're thirsty. However, there are some athletes that are heavier sweaters than others. You need to know how much you sweat when you exercise, because if you do sweat a lot, you're losing more water than normal, which means you need to replace it. And you're not always going to be thirsty just because you sweated. So, as a rule of thumb, I tell athletes to consume 128 ounces of water per day baseline, even if it's a rest day, plus 24 extra ounces for every hour of physical activity performed to account for sweat losses. To make the 128 ounces easy, I normally recommend athletes get a 32-ounce water bottle and just drink 4 of those. Or you can get a huge 64-ounce water bottle and know that you need to drink 2 of those at baseline. Whatever works for you to make it happen. Another thing that kind of muddles the fluid recommendations is that the fluid that you get doesn't have to be from water. You don't have to get all 128 ounces from water. This fluid can also come from tea, or from milk, or from juice, or from Gatorade. It can also come from your food. If you like to snack on grapes or watermelon, or you like to eat soup, that is also fluid. But no one's really going to measure that, are they? So it gets a little bit of a gray area. To make things more complicated, your food also produces water whenever it's metabolized that the body can then use to hydrate itself. And there's really no way to track that. So what's Destini's bottom line? When it comes to giving your body enough fluid, you need to account for losses from sweat, and you need to account for how heavy it is that you're training, because you are going to need to make sure your hydration status is optimal before you even start training. If you're already training and you're trying to get water in to hydrate yourself, it's too late. So if you have a competition in the morning, make sure you're drinking a lot the day before to make sure your hydration status is on the up and up. But like I said, rule of thumb, 128 ounces per day plus 24 ounces for each hour of physical activity. If you really are curious about your sweat losses and how much fluid you might be losing, I challenge you to weigh yourself before and after your regular physical activity, because that can give you an idea of how much of a heavy sweater you are and how much fluid you need to replace. Depending on how much weight you lose, you're going to want to drink 24 ounces of water for each pound of body weight loss. It's that simple. Drink your water, guys. It's great for athletic performance and for your overall health. This is the Athlete's Dietitian, signing off.